Snetterton is a famous British racetrack used by various different motorsport championships such as the British Superbikes and the British GT. Today we are going to take a look at the history of the track from the beginnings until today. Snetterton opened in 1943 as Royal Air Force Snetterton Heath. So yes, as most of the older circuits in the UK, it was an airfield. It was home for the US Army Air Force's 96 bomb group and its fleet of B-17 flying fortresses. After the war, the Americans stayed here for a few more months, flying food aid to the Netherlands. After they left, the Royal Air Force used the airfield for another 3 years before they abandoned it in 1948. In 1955, two local car enthusiasts Oliver Sear and Dudley Corman persuaded the landowner Fred Riches to allow motor racing on the site. Riches, who was the local church warden, allowed racing, but no practice or race could happen on Sundays between 10:45 am and noon, and everything should come to a halt in time for evensong. And this is how the first version of the Snetterton circuit was born. It was a 4.4 km or 2.7 mile long circuit which used the perimeter roads and one of the runways of the airfield. The track's jewel was the 1 mile long Norwich Straight, which ended in the Norwich Hairpin. The outline of the course was marked by sand-filled oil drums. There were only very basic facilities, and you could only enter the track when the racing stopped, as there was no bridge to cross the track. Turn 1 and 2 had the name of the two founders of the track, as Turn 1 was named Riches and Turn 2 was named Sear. As cars were getting faster and faster, speed became a worry out of the paddock band, so in 1965 they built a chicane before the start-finish straight. That chicane was named after Jim Russell, who had established the world's very first driver school at the track in the late 1950s. Drivers said the new corner was too narrow and motorcycle racers found it nearly impossible to take the chicane, so they modified it in 1967. The new corner was much quicker, nearly flat out, which saw you hit the pit lane wall if you got it wrong, while a lot of people did. At that time, new facilities were built around the course and the new bridge helped the staff to cross the track mid-race. For the next 10 years, Snetterton was the temple to high speed in the UK, and despite that, it was relatively safe. Mainly because if you got off the track, there wasn't really anything to hit. There was grassy areas around the track, and the old service roads provided a lot of runoff areas. By the mid-70s, there was plans to shorten the track because it was much cheaper to maintain and run a shorter track. In 1974, the new version of the track was done. Ahead of the original Sear corner, they turned right onto the west-east runway and rejoined at the S's. This section had problems as cars enter this left-right section at a very high speed, and if they lose the car, they crash right into the Bailey Bridge. After huge crashes and the death of Formula Ford racer John Thorne, they redesigned the S's to make it more safe. After it was built, the surface of the new S's started breaking up, so they created a temporary chicane for the F5000 cars to use the original S's. By the start of the next year, they repaired the surface and they started to use the new corner layout. The longer layout was also used for a few more years for testing before they finally abandoned it in 1980. Since that, it is a famous Sunday market for the locals. The shorter layout was so popular in Britain that it gave home to the first 24-hour race in the UK, the Will Hire 24-hour. The first race was in 1980 and it was won by an Opel Commodore. The race was for production cars and they kept organizing the event until 1994. In 1990, the Russell band was changed to Russell Chicane, but history repeats itself and it was found too tight and they eased the corner again. This type of corner was the closest version of this corner to the current one. In 2003, the Citroën 2CV 24-hour race moved to Snetterton. The track was home for the race for another 10 years until 2013. The race returned to Snetterton in 2017 and stayed here since that. In 2004, former F2 champion Jonathan Palmer's Motorsport Vision Group purchased the track. The new management built new spectator banks and pit and paddock facilities. They wanted to bring bigger international series to Snetterton. The most radical changes were made to the track in 2011 when a new 1 mile infield section was built. Turn 2 got redesigned and renamed to Montreal because it was inspired by the hairpin in the Montreal Formula 1 course. The racer chicane was changed to a new right-hander called Murray's. The full course is called the Snetterton 300 because it is 3 miles long. The Snetterton 200 layout contains the original track, and the Snetterton 100 is only the new infield section. The track gained an FIA Grade 2 license, and MSV is hoping to attract international racing back to Snetterton. Currently, it is an important part of most British racing series. The BTCC, British Superbikes, British GT and F3 also race here.
And there's some history, guys, just to get us started off today, like we do every week. We'll make that go away so everyone can take a look at the track. And this week I did find a quick flyover. This is one of these wicked fast, so not like some of the previous races, but gives you an idea what the track looks like in its modern layout. And we'll give you an opportunity to know what the drivers are in for today when we take a look at the track guide right after this short flyover. Excellent. And again, that was just a fast one I was able to grab this week. Kind of frustrating me. It was harder to find better ones, but to give an even better idea of exactly what our drivers will be facing today during the sprint race, let's take a look.
Hey, it's Brennan, and here we are for the final lap guide of the 3 new British DLC tracks. Today we're at Snetterton, coming out the final corner. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the lap. I'm in the Ferrari GT3 Evo today, and the only major setup adjustments I made for this thing was probably the front bump stop range. I increased that a bit, feels a bit better. First corner, we're going to look for the final 2 boards on the left. We're going to brake between them, maybe a little bit closer to the first one, but somewhere in the middle. It's a fast first corner. We're going to double apex it coming near the curb at the start of the corner. Then we're going to coast a little bit, and around about mid-corner, we're going to pick up the throttle again. And then at the end of the corner, we're going to come back to the curb, which we'll see in a second. Here we go. But you want to look towards the inside where the curb is. The curb actually steps up a bit. You don't want to hit that. The car will bounce up and end your lap probably. You won't want to hit that. We're looking at the number 2 board for turn 2. We're going to brake just before that into the heavy braking zone of the hairpin we're going to enter. Don't really go onto that curb. It sort of pulls the car around, gives you a bad exit. Stay around the white line and then use that curb, that concrete on exit. For this turn, it's a bit of a weird one. You could probably stay in 3rd gear, but I shifted down to 2nd. Brake just before those 2 signs. Carry as much speed as you can through here, keeping narrow though. Don't accelerate too early, you'll go off and invalidate your lap. But you do want to use a bit of this concrete on the exit, but it's very bumpy. I don't like using it, but it does help if you get it right. To enter this hairpin, there is the number 1 board and the number 2 board. You're going to brake about halfway between them, or just before that rubbered-in line on the track, if the track's rubbered in. And you want to have a late apex here, curl it around, and just after that pole, that's about where your apex really is. I don't get this perfect coming out of here. I get a little bit slippy and sideways. I probably could have straightened the car up a little bit first before getting the throttle down. But you can use the throttle, depending on what car you're in, you can use the throttle to help rotate out of the corner. I did that a little bit. This one, you don't use a lot of the brake. You only use about half brake, and you use it very quickly. Then you coast through here. Don't go too much. You can use the curb, but don't go into that grassy bit. You'll get flicked up. And on here, you can, same as that one corner before, you can use a little bit of the concrete, but it's extremely bumpy and the car doesn't like it. Here we go, we're going to brake alongside those signs, or maybe just a touch after it. And this corner, we don't have any issues of having a bumpy car going over the curb. So use quite a lot of this curb, just don't go too far over the white line because that will be invalid. And using the throttle a little bit to help rotate out of this corner, but don't get too much oversteer because you'll have a terrible exit that way. I get away with it here, fairly smooth, and then back to the outside of the track where the end of this green stuff is. It's going to be your braking point. You don't want to use too much brake here as well, just a quick nip of the brakes. And then throw it in with a lot of speed, let the front of the car grip up again. You're going to have a late apex again, and you don't want to get the rear slipping out too much on this corner because it'll cost you your exit speed. I get a little bit sideways there, but thankfully it wasn't too bad, so I'll get away with it. Don't really go into the green stuff on the exit there, it's quite bumpy. So we're on the second long straight of the track now, coming up to one of the trickiest sections of the track. It's the final sector. On the final, or on the number 1 board, we can see there we're going to brake a little bit after that and start angling towards the corner. So brake after that, and here you're going to be hard on the brakes. I'm going to slow it down a little bit here. You're going to lift off the brakes as you turn where that curb begins. So you're hard on the brakes now in a straight line. And then as you turn for this curb, you're going to lift off. And then as you straighten up again, you're hard on the brakes, slowing the car down a little bit more. Now here, do not touch the sausage curb. You will mess up your lap. Avoid it, but get close to it. And have a late apex, straightening up the corner as early as you can. Getting the throttle on, you can use a little bit of this exit here. Don't stay out here for too long. Back onto the track. And this one you don't have to brake for. Somewhere around where you start turning in, you're going to lift off. Let it grip up, and towards the end of that little curb you saw on the inside, you start getting on the throttle again. For this long right-hander here, it's really hard to tell you where to lift, but I'd say when the front end's fully loaded and when you're already at apex, start lifting off. And in mid-corner, you want to just touch the throttle a little bit to stop you from getting to the inside too early. Then on this this double pole thingy here, third from the last one, you're going to hit the brakes and keep to the right, and then give yourself a nice line for this final turn. You don't really want to use the sausage curb, but it doesn't affect you as bad as that last one. Using all the concrete on the exit here, well, don't really go any wider than that. It'll probably be invalid. But I got away with it there, coming out the final corner, and that's a lap at Snetterton. Could have been better. I mean, this is a really, really hard track to get right, honestly. I thought it would be a bit easier. But, yeah, no, it's a fun track. It's just not easy. Mainly because of those really bumpy curbs. Anyway, I'll let you watch this lap without me talking, but stick around after this lap. I'll show you the pit entrance guide, show you where to brake there, and that'll be the end of this guide. And then we'll have to wait a few months and see if the next track, well, I don't know what the next track will be on ACC, but we'll see in probably a few months. So we'll see you at the end of this lap, and I'll tell you where to brake for the pit stop.
So there you go, guys. That is I'll let it finish.
Okay, so that was that lap again. Now we're going to look at the pit stop. So we're going to take the final corner as per normal. Then we're going to pull off to the right where the pit entry lane opens up. And then there's a little bit of an off-road, like a very tiny one, just sitting there on the right. You're going to brake right at the end of that, just after the concrete ends, and then you're hard on the brakes. And that should be 50 kilometers per hour at the line. So I think that's the last thing I need to say for today. I probably missed some minor details here and there. So if you want to know anything, please ask in the comments. I'll try to reply. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you soon.
So there you go, for Unleashed Drivers. I had it backwards. I apologize for that. But I've been trying to use his guides every time because they seem accurate, but he's concise. It's not a 15-minute rundown of the entire track, right? And that's something I can sneak in here in the front. So as we say that, just waiting for everything to kick off. Let a few drivers drop in, which I see the announcement was just made regarding to joining for qualification. Give them just another minute to jump in, and we will join qual in progress, and we'll see how many drivers we have today. I know we're going to be missing a few, but we're going to do our best to get in there on qual and see how these guys run today. So 3 drivers so far. That's good. Everybody's still sitting in the pits. Fork, how come you're not joining today? Decided not to run or not home? Got something else going? And Dan changed his mind. So we will work to follow the Stolowski out on the track as we start to open up for qual. No rain today, which will be a good thing. Although we do have an ambient temperature of 30 C with a track temp of 37, so it's not going to take much to get tires pumped up where the guys are going to want them, I'm sure. Where are we going? There we go. That's what we want for qual. So as Stolowski leads us out, Dan and Nat all on track already. Any practice or anything? Plus the Euro's on. Okay, gotcha, man. Yeah, we ran this track last night during Friday night drinking and driving, which is exactly how it sounds. So I don't know that I would call it practice. However, I did not come away liking this track very much. But then again, I wasn't used to it either. So again, Snetterton, another former RAF airbase located in the UK. A slow start to qual today. Usually by the time we get in here at this point, we've got people just about ready to set times. And everyone right now is still on their out lap, putting some heat in the tires and getting ready to run a flying lap. BK Ferrari joining and heading out now. We've got Boa Osarg, who I know said he might be here today. He's joined. That Michelin, Kipster, and Steadfast, and 2 more latecomers. So with today's race, guys, it's only a 10-minute qual, 20-minute race, sprint race, no pit stop required. So the drivers can go straight out and load up. Red Rider joins the paddock, along with BB Lightfoot. And again, with the warm temps, these guys are going to have to dial in their tire pressures a little bit. I don't think, most of the races we run are not this warm. But it also makes it, I guess, you could say, a little easier. They don't have to move much or I should say, they're possibly going to move a lot. So you have to be careful how high you pump them, getting ready to do qualification. As we watch Dan struggle a little bit. Nat JB coming around on the start-finish line, and might get to see his first flying lap, as the Stolowski is still out running, just coming off Montreal and heading into the interior portion of the track. Trying to look here. Boa, Kipster, and BB Lightfoot still in the pits. Red Rider's already out driving on his out lap, so we'll see where he ends up today. As we jump back to the front here. Huffmanic, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show. Stolowski getting a little slippy. Coming into the back straight. Pierre has joined. Excellent. Always like watching Pierre run. And looking at everybody we've got today, I mean, we got some clean drivers here. We got some aggressive drivers here. I think you guys have probably heard me talk enough now. As we watch Dan again into the grass, he has brought his John Deere Model D110 to Snetterton today instead of that McLaren. So we'll see how many loops of grass he can get cut before the end of today's race. Only 20 minutes to go. As you guys have heard me discuss in the past, though, someone like Stolowski, very fast driver, excellent pace, also very aggressive. But I gotta say, I've had to deal with him behind me, and as aggressive as he can be, he's also very, very clean. And we just got our first time set of a 152.9 from Stolowski, and he apparently gave up. With Nat JB quickly quickly destroying that time with a 1:47.8. Wow. Wow. That is a huge jump for only his second, his first hot lap. Looks like he's going to go hit the pits and see what he can make, what adjustments he can make. As we watch for Dan to complete his, we know he was one of the early ones out on the track as well. Lawnmower races, yeah, it looks like Dan looked like he was trying at it today. He might be giving them a run for their money. I don't know how well a McLaren will cut grass, though, even if you did sling a deck under it. So, but I think we've caught him out there twice. Hopefully he tightens that up a little bit with warmer tires. BK Ferrari, Michelin in the Porsche this week. So anybody who hasn't watched this before, as we get down to the final 3.5 minutes of qualification here, with this season, the British versus German season for Green Hell Racing, drivers were required to use two different cars, a British vehicle and a German vehicle. They could swap these vehicles every other race, there's 2 per weekend, or they could swap the vehicles every other weekend. So there was a bit of a change up there, and depending on the kind of driver you are, I don't know, you might keep the same vehicle for 50% of the time, or you might do if you're good at a certain make a car, maybe stick with it 66% of the time. So it's curious to see. Now I see Stolowski, which I know he's not usually in, is driving that the Audi today. I know that's not his usual whip, so that could be why he's sitting so far back off of Nat JB. Given those guys typically run pretty tight. I mean, Nat's fast, right? Nat's what I would call an alien. I don't know that Stolowski is. He's a lot faster than me, but I don't know that he's at this. But they're usually a lot tighter than, a little over 5 seconds. And we see Dan has clocked another time at 7.8 seconds off the pace of Nat JB. Chief Blaze has joined the paddock. He just doesn't like to qualify. As we look at that Michelin having set his first time right behind Stolowski. I think Chief's not a qualifier. He doesn't. He's not big on qualifying. He just says, you know what? I'm gonna do what I can from back here. Don't you worry about it. I'll be fine. As we watch the guys try and go in and make changes quickly with only 2 minutes left in qualification. Given the limitations of the Xbox, which is what these guys are driving on, my camera options are very limited. So I tried it last week and it worked relatively well. What I want to do is I'm going to stick to the helicopter view through the formation lap and into the first lap, trying to select one of the cars right here in the middle of the pack. I think it gives us the widest view to look for incidents on the first lap. And hopefully it's something that we can keep an eye out for things, and I can give you guys as much action as possible. Once that first lap's complete and it looks like things have cleaned up, people have spread out a little bit, we'll go ahead and reset back to the garage and change up our cameras a little bit to make things a little bit easier to see with some closer to the track action. Yeah, Shorty's up 5 seconds. That's a fast time. Talking about it last night, to Red Rider and Chief, and those guys seem to think like a 152, 153 was a good time, and Nat just laid it out there with a 147.8 and blew that theory out of the water. So, yeah. And we see now BK Ferrari and Kipster both are right around a little over 4 seconds with their qual times, putting them in second and third, bumping Stolowski into fourth, which is not normal, I would say. But being a fan of watching these guys drive, I honestly think it's a good thing because I like watching Stolowski race. He's going to fight to get back up there with Shorty, so he'll have it unless he can clock something here. Oh, and he did. Down only 3-3 now. Puts him back up into second position. And we will drop back here with this many drivers. We're going to drop back here to Dan 00 Alpha as we wait for qualifying to run out. And with that, we have a little bit of a wait time here, and we will be getting up the formation lap. One thing I'm going to do, guys, I do it every week. I'm going to ask you all to be patient with me. I am going to go ahead and pop a quick 30-second ad. And the reason I do this is if anyone should join us mid-race, this will ensure they come right into the race and do not have to watch a pre-roll. So I'm just going to ask you all to stick around real quick while I get that going. And we get that out of the way before the race actually starts. And welcome back, folks. Again, I appreciate you being patient for that quick break while we get ready here for things to settle into our 20-minute sprint race today. Just about 1 minute left for these guys to finish qualifying. We'll see if everybody finishes their lap, comes across, and shuts that down. Red Rider finally clocking a time, 8 seconds off the pace. And I think I've got time here to quickly jump in and show everybody. So NatJB obviously holding on to all 3 sectors with the purple times. But our session now over as we watch Stolowski bounce across pit lane and we get ready for our race. And it screwed up my camera. There we go. So taking a quick look while we wait for the session to start, guys. NatJB and Steadfast. I don't know how that happened unless I must have missed it right at the end. NatJB and Steadfast in row 1. Stolowski and Muxkuth in row 2. BK Ferrari and Kipster row 3. Dan Double O Alpha Red Rider in row 4. Osarg and BB Lightfoot sharing row 5, with Pierre and Chief Blaze bringing up the back of the pack in row 6. And we will get ready for our full formation lap to get started here. And as we do, I again want to thank everybody for joining the stream today. If you do enjoy the racing, if you enjoy watching people drive, if you enjoy listening to me talk over it, and trying to keep up with everything, by all means hit that follow button. Come on back. Green Hell Racing's back regularly. This is the last week of the British versus German season. However, my understanding is there could be a new season announced relatively shortly, and we will be back for on-track action. As well, my understanding is that the PC League for Green Hell will be starting up shortly. Some final preparations are being made as far as server and decision about how things are going to run and everything else, but I encourage you to come back here as I will be covering those races as well, and hopefully
20 seconds.
if I can figure it all out, having a little bit easier time with cameras and catching what's going on with some very, very handy plugins for Assetto Corsa Competizione.
What up, Ho?
Hey man, what's going on? Everybody welcome Chief Blaze. He's going to give us some play-by-play from on track today.
Totally just changed my setup without testing it before the race starts, so we'll see how this goes.
Totally didn't even get a qual time in, so... Which, for you, it seems to be par for the course. I don't quite understand it, but... Chief's
Well,
just...
the 20-minute races, qualifying is just way too short for me to get everything set up and all that shit.
Well, you should have set up before the day of the race, shouldn't you?
I can't. No. I have to take over my whole living room to race, so it's like...
Oh, I got you, okay.
Set it up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I actually have to put my rig up for tonight. We're having movie night, so I gotta get it out of the way. As we watch our formation lap, don't anybody get confused. Formation lap, there is no collision turned on. There's a little gauge the drivers have in front of them that tells them where to be, and as you can tell, sometimes they do not stick to their little gauge very well as we watch Red Rider sprint ahead, unable to maintain in the green.
Does anybody like this track? Because I fucking hate it. Like,
I'm not sure that anybody does. I know I came away last night not enjoying it very much, but there were various reasons for that. Huff Manic says, "Let's go racing." He said, "Good luck, y'all," which I assume would include you, Chief. So he's Huff Manic's watching, wanting to see what you can do with that Bentley from the back of the pack.
Probably not much, because I don't know this track at all.
And only 12 drivers today. I think this is
Didn't
our
we have 13?
smallest.
Someone dropped out.
Yeah, I think somebody dropped. That's all right. I missed right at the end of qualifying where Steadfast jumped himself up into second.
Classic Molson.
Stolowski was right there, and I completely missed it. Well, at least I got the cars right this week and called it a McLaren. Leave me alone. Little wins, man. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Damn.
True. It's true.
Oh, Huff Manic says Chief was not included with the luck. Therefore, no good luck for you from Huff Manic as he watches the stream today.
Yeah, Huff, well, I hope you crash.
Yeah, I don't think he's driving, so...
He will be in the PC League.
He will be in the PC
He'll crash
League.
there. And I will giggle like a
Look at you
schoolgirl.
guys are stacking up in this corner. I cannot figure out what's going on. The formation lap's basically just a shit show until the double file comes, right? I mean...
Pretty much.
You drive through people, you stop, you go, the tires get cold, the brakes get cold. Here we go. As everyone now catches up, Red Rider blowing past everybody to now stack
Holy
up into
shit.
double file. That's yeah, no,
Jesus
dude. You should see it from the helicopter view. It's just insanity. Friggin' Red thought he was in pole position, I think. But I think the game, you know, the sim handles it the best way it can as we come around here, getting ready to hit the start-finish straight. Guys lining up in double.
Corner is bullshit, too.
Lining up in double file. So we see Chief Blaze and Pierre bringing up the tail end of this. And again, hopefully by picking Dan 00 Alpha for the opening lap, I've picked the right person to catch any on-track action before we start moving around a little bit, guys. Oh, Huff is working right now. Hey, Electric, welcome to the stream, man. Glad you're here. Green light, let's go racing, fellas. 20 minutes, Snetterton. It's gonna get rough. Coming into T1.
BB diving in T1.
A little bit, some action in the rear end. And Stolowski, I believe that's Stolowski, is off the track. Coming back on now, rejoined relatively safely, but they're going 3 wide through Montreal with Red Rider, Dan 00 Alpha, and Stolowski. Jesus, that was a little crazy.
I almost rear-ended someone. Oh, that was stressful.
You weren't the only one, because like I said, 3 wide through the hairpin. That was curious. We watch time start to clock in. And again, folks, it is sometimes hard to track in the Xbox version. And Stolowski and Dan 00 Alpha just bumped each other. Red Rider is, for some reason, trying to sneak up the middle. Has gotten in front of Stolowski, made his move up there. As we
Sandbags
look,
are pushing him too much forward, so he
Red
can't
is
really
off
brake.
into the grass. And
Red, don't do it! Oh, Jesus!
Was that
you? Yes.
Was it? I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell what car it was, but I just out of the corner of my screen saw him catch somebody. And with the race now going, we're going to drop back to the garage, guys, where we can change things up a little bit and take a look here. Kipster coming up on the back of Mux Kuth, and Mux Kuth keeping it steady on Steadfast right now as we triple stack coming around the end of the track here. Back from them is BK Ferrari. Dan 00 Alpha is off into the grass again. He is bound and determined to cut something with that McLaren this week. Red Rider all the way now back into 10th as we jump back up here to watch Steadfast, Mux Kuth, and Kipster go at it. Only 4/10 between each of the 3 of them. And we're going to have to jump back here as Stolowski is into the pits. That's a shame.
That last corner, I feel like you have to just come to a complete stop and hope you don't spin out. Like, I do not know how to take it at all.
And yet y'all just kept giving me as we watch Kipster runs way wide around Montreal, almost coming into the back of Mux Kuth, luckily avoiding the incident. And now Steadfast pulling ahead by a little bit over Mux Kuth and Kipster. as these guys get themselves back on track. But BK Ferrari has now tightened it up and is looking to make a play on Kipster coming through the interior of the circuit. Oh no. It looks like Ferrari just pushed Kipster right around in a circle and allowed Osarg to sneak through. He'll be jumping up, and Stolowski has gotten a stop-go. 30 seconds, guys. Now, we learned last week, do not play games in the pits. The games will get you, and it looks like Stolowski just learned that lesson again. Let's take a look back here to Kipster. We're going to see an incident with that one, that's for sure, given he pushed Osarg right around in a circle, allowing BK Ferrari to jump up into 4th. Still 6 seconds back off Mux Kuth at this point, who is a little less than a second back from Steadfast. As we watch times come in, you can see the drivers have spread out pretty good. Chief Blaze moved himself up into 8th out there in the grass.
I lost it.
Way wide. And just got passed up by, I believe, BB Lightfoot. That'll bring Chief
Red
back to 11th.
I have a ton of downforce on this car, and you got to straighten up real quick before you come around some of these corners. I don't know if I can do that.
And again, we can see everybody's spread out pretty well at this point. Nat JB leading the pack by 6 seconds over Steadfast. He's out running by himself. And again, from Steadfast, we look back. There's a one, he's opened that up to 1.4 seconds on Mux Kuth. We've got to drop back another 6 seconds to get to Osarg, and Kipster running 1.7 off of him, and that's your top 5 with about 15 minutes left in today's sprint race. Definitely some action in the front lap of this today.
Oh, bye-bye, BB. Sorry, buddy. That happened to me as well.
And I went ahead and dropped a replay. We'll see if that does any good. As we take a focus on Kipster.
To go around that corner is so fucking slow. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it looked like you stopped, like an old man getting out of a tub. Stolowski's back in the pit lanes, looks like he's serving his stop-go. He is not going to be a happy camper today. But no doubt about it, he definitely sped in the pit. I didn't get to see the warning flash up, but I'm pretty sure, given he had to go into the pits right before that, that's what we're looking at. Right now, BK Ferrari tightening up a little bit on the back of Dan 00 Alpha.
Okay.
Pierre, my brother, from another mother, just flew off the track into the grass. Same place you did, Chief. That deep area where there's a lot of grass to be mown. Pierre just took it in the same spot, heading into the big roundabout before the start-finish straight.
If you hit your brakes too early, you're getting fucking tossed, and not just all.
Yeah, last night I remember that because you're coming in. Hold on, let me think about this. You're coming in off the straight, you're going left, but then you have to cut right. And if you try and hit your brakes when you're still going left, you're taking a header out into the weeds. Mr. Peanut Butter, hello, what's going on? Thanks for joining, man. Glad you're here. How come you're not driving today there, Big Daddy?
Too many shots of bourbon.
Too many, right? He's feeling about the same way you are right now. As we take a look, BK Ferrari tighten it up even closer onto Dan 00 Alpha, and possibly making a move here. As we pull back a little bit, see if we can get a better view of this. Dan running wide, giving BK the opening. Can he take it? Yes, he can. BK moving ahead of Dan 00 Alpha, as Dan decided to go way outside the confines of the track and give up that position. And Red Rider not too far behind him at a 2-2 right now. We'll see if BK can hold on to the position or if Dan's going to try and take that back. Everyone else pretty well spread out. Why are there pit stops? Why do these guys have to take pit stops?
I don't know why they're doing that.
There's supposed to be no pit stops.
There are no pit stops. You don't have to.
Everybody's got a 1 next to their name, dude. You might want to
fuck,
pit.
they do. Oh, shit.
I just realized there are 1s next to those names. 2 hungover, 4 shots of tequila. That will do it to you, Mr. Peanut Butter.
God damn it, Red. Keep fucking up the server. Just kidding. Thank you for all you do, Red Rider. But you are fucking up the server.
I'm not sure it was him. Dan 00 Alpha in and out real quick. Just make sure you set yourself no tires. Give yourself 1 liter of fuel, dude. It's like a 3-second pit stop. As we watch Dan 00 Alpha come back out.
It's not 3 seconds.
Well, I'm talking about the actual stop time, not how long it takes you to dilly-dally around in there.
Oh my god, a 157? What is happening?
Chief Blaze on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to get this camera right. There's like these camera angles keep getting too tight. You can't see around a car. It drives me nuts. So 11 minutes left now. As we take a look. Again, NatJB has opened up the front to 13.9 seconds, and I'm sure that's going to be closer to 15 when we see the times update again. Over Steadfast in number 2. Mux Kuth sitting in number 3 right now. Nice and steady, right? Stolowski coming up on him, though. The problem I have with this is Stolowski's a back marker, and he just pushed Mux Kuth.
What a dick.
You're in 11th. Take a breath. Mux is into the pits now, giving Stolowski the breathing room he needs. And look, again, Stolowski's got pace, right? The cat can drive, but you're in 11th. You're going after the guy in 3rd. You're not getting that position
coming back from
by
11th
paying.
in a 20-minute race. Like,
No, and you're not taking that position, right? You're not fighting for 3rd, I guess is my point. Even if you are trying to get up on Pierre and catch him, you're not going to take Mux. Let him have it. Calm down. Everybody calm down. Just take a breath.
5-minute race, sure. Be a little aggressive, but still probably not going to get that back. You know?
As we watch, guys are now trying. I think the drivers are realizing that they do have a pit stop and are trying to clear it. People are starting to realize that a pit stop is required. Lightfoot and Kipster sitting for a good long time. I think they might have changed tires, unfortunately, which is not required. But then again, there's supposed to be no pit stop this race. So, with Red Rider now in 4th, magically, somebody must have divined him to the front of the track. And yes, for anyone wondering, Red Rider 1883 was actually born in 1883. Served during the Civil War in the 2nd Cavalry. Later opened a stable where he raised racehorses, which then evolved into a position in sim racing as we start his 3rd century on Earth.
Also, dog, that's the 2nd fucking time you bumped me. Come on, bro.
Who pushed you?
Us.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, we made contact twice on corners.
I was just getting back there, seeing how short the times were, and then it was already over. So today's race is going to be interesting, folks, because, again, with no pit stop supposed to be required, what happens to the guys that don't take one?
Disqual.
Well, they will be disqualified, right? But that's a problem, because that's a little unfair, given I think they're not expecting to take one, right? Nat's running out right now, well on and ahead of Steadfast, and if he's not looking and paying attention to the fact that he needs to take a pit stop, he will be disqualified. So will Steadfast, so will Ferrari, so will Red Rider, so will Chief Blaze, so will Pierre. So now you're talking about the race really being between 5 people who are all from number 5 position down. Ferrari and Red Rider have both just entered the pits and cleared their stops. Well, Ferrari cleared his. I don't know what Red's doing. He must have changed tires. Okay. Stolowski's back in the pits. I think Stolowski's given up. Looks like he might just be sitting. And Stolowski has dropped from our server today.
I hate when people quit. Don't quit. Stop quitting, people. Jesus.
We watch Chief come up on the back of BK Ferrari. Maybe he can tighten that up a little bit. And taking a look behind them, Dan and Kipster running together.
I'm in last every place, every fucking race. You see me quitting, throwing the
You're not
bitch
last.
fit. I throw the bitch fit. I don't quit though.
Kipster coming right up on the back of Dan 00 Alpha right now.
This is right where I got pushed off.
And takes him right before the corner. Looked like Dan might have given up that spot instead of fighting him for it. A little bit. A little bit. Let's back it out here for folks to see.
What'd you say pole position was? How fast was that? Was his lap?
I believe a 147? 147.8?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude. He blew out Stolowski by like 5 seconds. And then Stolowski came back to like within 3.3. But yeah, he smoked that out.
My best is a 156.
Stolowski says, hey, F you. I don't know why. I didn't tell Stolowski anything except that maybe when you're in 11th and coming up behind the guy in 3rd, you shouldn't be so mean to him because there's no need for all that. As we watch Kipster run up on the back of Chief Blaze, we're down to 10 drivers, guys. Down to 10 drivers. Started with 13. We are now down to 10. Kipster running up on the back of Chief. Chief, who has not cleared his pit stop yet, along with Nat JB, who has not cleared. Six minutes left. Chief heads into the pits. And let's try and get a look here and see how far ahead Nat is once we get a time reported for Steadfast. I wasn't being mean, that was accidental. I literally don't know this track at all. So Stolowski wasn't being mean. He said it was accidental. I believe him, though. I said at the front end of this race that, oh, and there we go. Nat JB has now headed into the pits and will clear his mandatory stop, along with Chief Blaze coming out now. And again, you know, pit stops aren't required.
This is dumb.
Race.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there will be a conversation. In fact, I'm willing to bet if I went and looked at the Discord, I'm willing to bet that the conversation has already begun, right? The question is, can Nat get out fast enough in front of Steadfast? And yes, he can. He's got a full lap. Steadfast, right? He did get out in front of Steadfast, who's still showing a lap behind, with Nat JB having completed 8 laps at this point. But now everyone has cleared their pit, mandatory or not, and the field has spread right out. Spread right out. Stolowski, don't be mad at anybody, especially yourself. It's not your fault. You're aggressive. It's okay. We still love you.
It's all your fault, Stolowski. All your fault.
100%, right? Kipster trying to make a dive on BK. Running a 3-second faster lap, so it may not take much for him to get up there. As I attempt to find the right camera angle to watch things on Xbox. Kipster runs a little wide. I was mad because I suck. Well, I don't think you suck. You're faster than me, dude. Damn, like, take it easy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm dead last. I'm not quitting.
No, you're not. You're still ahead of Pierre. My brother. Pierre is my brother because I think we're the only two 40-plus-year-olds in the league. I'm telling you, him and I, we're going to just eschew the whole pro and am thing and just have our own gentleman's class, and whoever wins each race gets 10 points and the other one gets 0. And by the end of the season, we'll know which one of us won. You guys can do whatever you want. Anybody in the server who turns 40, anybody in the group who turns 40, just automatically joins the Gentleman's League. That's what we need. Oh, and to answer your point, Stolowski, I will say, yeah, okay, I can get why you'd be mad at yourself because you do suck, but for different reasons than driving. It's not the same. Kipster making that move. He's now tightening right up on the back end of BK. This is our closest run right now. Everyone else, with only 10 drivers on track, everybody else is relatively well spread out. Chief is
I'm gonna
about to
score a
become,
point.
Chief is about to become a black marker for Nat JB. Kipster driving that Audi that I love. BK swinging wide. I don't know what he's trying to do. Hitting dirt. Coming around the start finish straight. Again, going wide there.
Oh, I don't know how he gets the Bentley to stop like that.
It's like watching... Oh, it is two Bentleys. It's like watching a guy in a race car drive past a guy in a go-kart.
I'm here now.
So what happens, Stolowski? First of all, let me ask you a question.
I didn't practice.
Well, okay, and I get that, but let me ask you this. What happened on the opening lap? It looked like you went off by
the
yourself.
The curb.
Was the curb. And Kipster pushing BK Ferrari right now. Little tap. As we come down now with Nat JB in the final lap. We will see where things finish up. But as of right now, Nat JB and Steadfast, along with Mux Kuth, are your number 1, 2, and 3. Unless Mux can make a move on Steadfast here in the last lap.
This hairpin's a son of a bitch.
Yeah, because I saw you go off in the first lap, man.
Yeah, the curb just killed me.
Did it? Okay.
I did no practice. Like, I started driving this track like 2 hours ago.
Huh, perfect.
For the first time ever. So, it's been a terrible morning. I'm mad as hell. I've just been crashing all day.
Hey, you should have joined us last night. You could have gotten more practice. And
it was
brutal.
Yeah, should have.
Again, Kipster running up on the back of BK, and BK just trying to make the car 4 cars wide up the start-finish straight, coming back around into T1. And it doesn't seem like the Audi can keep up with that McLaren up through there.
On the track.
But Kipster not giving up. As we watch Nat JB coming around. Mux Kuth now has closed the gap to 9/10 on Steadfast, but I just don't know that he's going to have enough to finish it off unless Steadfast makes a mistake here at the end of the race, which he's not prone to do. But Kipster, again, oh, and Kipster has pushed BK. Kipster's pushed BK. That's going to be an incident. Yeah, that's going to be an incident. 100%. I'm going to save that one. That was bad. BK has now dropped back pretty hard behind Pierre. And we see Nat JB has finished out.
So easy to do that though here. It's so bumpy. Your brakes can lock up. Like we got ABS and your brakes still lock up.
Yeah.
Mux Kuth again pushing right on the back end of Steadfast coming around. Chief Blaze has finished his stint at number 9. Waiting to see if Mux can make something play here at the end. I just don't think it's going to happen.
What's with all the McLarens today? They used them at the wrong track.
And Steadfast holding on to number 2, just barely over Mux Kuth with Oss in number 4. And we start watching folks come in. Kipster, you're going to have to give that... Nothing for nothing. I think he's new, right?
Well, I think the penalty will take care of that. Yeah.
I don't know that it will. BK is.
If he gets like a 15-second.
Kipster now finished in 5th.
Oh, wait, how far?
BK
oh no, it's showing 15.
Coming in.
I think you're right.
Looks and Dan 00 Alpha just takes BK. Oh my God!
Damn.
They were right on each other. Dan
yeah.
snuck around BK right there at the end to finish with Red Rider coming in right behind him. Stolowski, BB Lightfoot, and Michelin not finishing their races today. But I got to tell you, here's the thing: a 15-second penalty leaves Kipster right where he is, guaranteed. And
yeah, I don't know what they're gonna.
That's not right because
he
pushed him. He pushed him straight up. So.
Wait, no. 15-second penalty would make Kipster 7th. Dan and BK would jump in.
Would it? Let me take a look here.
Yeah, because
it already jumped.
Dan finished. Dan finished like 14.2 or something
Okay.
behind him, and then BK was obviously like 100th off of that.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you, Stolowski. Thank you, Chief Blaze, for joining me today on stream. I appreciate it. Stolowski, sorry you couldn't finish. I mean, Chief at least finished his race, you know.
yeah, good job, Chief.
Thanks.
But I want to thank everybody who watched today for being here. I appreciate you guys joining us, and we will be back tomorrow. It's Donington tomorrow, right?
Yeah. No, Olton, right?
No.
Or is it?
Olton's
No, it is
here.
Donington.
It's Donington, yeah. So tomorrow we're running Donington. Hey, you got me going it backwards. Tomorrow's Donington, folks. Come on back. 45-minute race. 20-minute qual. Starts at the same time, 12:45 Eastern. Right here is where you can find it on Twitch. And tomorrow I'm going to try a little experiment, try and push it to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time for a little bit of backup after I dumped a bunch of VODs off of Twitch like an idiot. So hopefully we can avoid that by pushing to both services. So you guys will have the option to watch it anywhere. But again, done. You're just a little bit late, man. Appreciate you being here, though. If you are in the chat, hit that follow button if you like the racing, if you enjoy what I have to say. If you want to listen to Stolowski get angry because he sucks. If you want to listen to Chief get mad because he gets bumped around.
I have an announcement for the chat, too.
What's that?
I'm going to be making a petition to never race at Snetterton in this league ever again, and I hope everyone will consider signing it. So, look out for that in the Discord.
I think you will have more than one signer on your petition. I'm really pretty sure you will, because...
Oh,
this track is sus.
And who did that? Billy, thank you for coming, man. So happy you're here, dude. Oh, that is the race for today, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to go out and move rocks and do some landscaping. I'm sure these guys have stuff to do on a wonderfully sunny Saturday afternoon. But again, we will be back tomorrow at 12:45 p.m. If you come in around 12:30, I have a little pre-race for you, some information on Donington. Thanks so much for joining, folks.